like if you go for a second TC, I think you're pretty much dead against trade early on. But here we go, game number 1 in our set, sort of versus DeMu on Lipany, EGC Lipany. So it's not the Lipany that you see in your average kind of games that has like wild spawns on the ladder. This is EGC Lipany, the all new and improved version, where we have. What do you?
I was gonna say, you mean you don't like having a cliff halfway across the map? Sometimes it looks more like a hideout version or a mountain pass type version, but definitely have some cleaner spawns here looking at both ends.
I remember one specific Lipany spawn where I played against Donati, and there were 2 of the sacred sites. He was playing as Deli. 2 of the sacred sites walled in towards me by cliffs and wood lines, all connected to each other. That was an interesting one. Like, Lipany has some wild spawns, but this version of Lipany, it's much more, I would say, balanced with where it spawns, with the cliffs, and yeah, it's just much more balanced overall. It doesn't give you like these incredibly unfair spawns, and overall, it still has these characteristics with lots of berries on the map and sacred sites, evenly balanced. I really enjoy this more balanced version of Lipany.
Yeah, so right off the bat with the Abbasid mirror, the first thing I always do is I'm looking at where those TCs are going to end up dropping, and if any of these players have, you know, these hype TC spawns. And one thing I notice is the double deer spawn for Sort of. That is just more than enough food for, I feel like, the whole entire game. But with the way this game might extend, he might have to transition to farms, but first TC spot would be prime time over there.
Yeah, that's a really good TC spot. I mean, for both of them, the deer is probably where the first TC will be going. Then again, we talked about in a Dali mirror, there's the option of there being multiple TCs. So another option would be to just drop the first TC on your stone, so you don't have too much like walk distance with your villager early on. And after that, you drop the second TC, or the third TC rather, on the deer.
Yeah, and that's typically the way that the players will tend to lean towards their build orders. Just how you mentioned, you're saving yourself the walking time. You're gonna be right back on that stone anyways, and sometimes we'll even see a stables get dropped early on. And ooh, even though it's a mirror, we finally see the first big difference of the game. It's going to be military wing versus economic wing.
That is really interesting. All right, so sort of. He's saying, no, you play the boom game. I'm not playing that one too. I'm going to go for the military wing. You know, that reminds me of a game. We had a game where it was, I think, Dukuzi play against BC, and he played this Abbasid all in military wing, only on 1 TC. And that was actually such a crazy game, he almost beat Beastie with it. Like, it was really, really close. And I think that maybe that could be an approach here from Sort of, just going for that all-in 1 TC military wing kind of play, and then try to maybe pressure that secondary TC that DeMu might be going for. But DeMu spots the military wing. He's like, hold up, this isn't what we were promised. I thought this was a boom festival. You're going military wing? And this is probably gonna be something that DeMu might have to react to. So might be that DeMu has to drop an archery range before he drops his first town center.
Yeah, but the nice part about this for DeMu is obviously spotting it out is the first key. First and foremost, you need the vision, you need the knowledge to know what you need to react to. So that's where he drops an archery range. 3 archers is all he really needs to push off the first couple initial units. And from there, he's really getting the long-term bonus with the economic wing. He's going to have cheaper TCs, cheaper houses, all the cheaper extra buildings that he's going to be having to go throughout the whole course of this game.
Look at that. DeMu already reacting to this military wing play. He pulled his villagers off of the stone mines, so now he's full on wood, trying to get production buildings out early in the game. And yeah, I mean, now he's off stone. This delays the second TC, so there's already some value that Sort of is gaining out of that. Archer range now coming up for him. And behind that, Sort of is immediately prepping his stable. This is the correct play, because with the military wing, what do you get? You get infantry, you get spearmen, you get archers. What are you lacking? Horsemen. So the logical consequence is to go for horsemen. So you got like your triple composition already early on. So if your opponent makes archers, then you can snipe them early out if they like overextend a little bit further outward. And you also have the horsemen just to be annoying around the map. Maybe spread out the deer a little bit, lame them a little bit, and yeah, just a lot of options with those horsemen early on.
Yeah, one thing we notice is DeMu actually picks up fresh foodstuffs right off the bat. That's why you'll notice a little bit of the villager difference without having the idle TC. It was fresh foodstuffs being queued on up and Fertile Crescent. So he is already getting some economic savings in the long term from these early investments. However, a lot of times I'll see that fresh foodstuffs be kind of waited to invest into until the second TC is down.
I think this makes a lot of sense for him, because if you look at the sheep that he's found so far, he didn't find nearly as many sheep as Sort of has. And with Sort of playing so aggressively, map control might be something that DeMu might struggle for. And so getting that early reduction on the villager cost definitely saves him a lot of food early on that he might need.
And just perfect timing. Horseman arrives just as DeMu steps back for the stone. He has the archer numbers to push the infantry units away, but now that the horseman's there, makes this a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, Scout has to be careful, lose a little bit of HP, though he can regenerate. And I mean, it's still difficult right now to push in with the horseman, right? Because the archers, you can't really chase them down because the TC is right there. However, there aren't that many villagers close to TC, so the amount of damage that you can get out of the TC is very limited right now. Now we see a barracks being dropped here by DeMu. Meanwhile, behind the Sort of is also going for his second TC. He's way closer to that than DeMu is right now.
Yeah, those 5 archers are starting to stack up. Will start to add that damage. 6 archers now damage onto those horsemen, onto those frontline units, but Sort of has accomplished his goal. He's about to be dropping his second TC as we speak, and DeMu, he's still quite a ways away from his. He's still having to produce using all that wood that he has in the bank.
Yeah, one issue that I see though for Sort of is he's investing a lot into horsemen right now, and horsemen, they're a really great unit for raids and just gaining map control passively, but they're not a great units to have like in fights. They're a little bit clunky with the pathing, and DeMu going for a composition of both spearmen and mass archers. I don't think that Sort of can really hold map control if it's being really pushed here.
Yeah, and another thing, you mentioned it before the game started, just talking about Abbasid in general. It's the late game composite bows. He's already starting to build that composition that works directly towards the later stages of the game as well.
Yeah, composite bows, it's just broken at the moment. You can make knights, you can make men-at-arms, it's not gonna work. The composite bows, they fire rapidly fast, and now there we go. Second TC coming up for DeMu. I think Sort of is still on stone right now, so I think he might be going for a third TC with the military wing behind this. And there we go. Yeah, he's still on stone, so this is very likely just going to be a third TC from him as well. So 3 TC versus 3 TC. One of the players, though, has the military wing going for them early on here. So with the military wing, I mean, this could be a feudal push here coming out from Sort of. And if he's able to deny a castle age timing out of DeMu, that could be really dangerous for DeMu.
Yeah, this is one of those things that you have to respect if you're DeMu on the Abbasid player going economic wing. You cannot take the military investment coming from Sort of lightly. You have to continue to produce. You have to continue to try to get the vision on what your opponent is sending across the map and what your opponent has planned.
Yeah, exactly. DeMu stopped producing military for now. Sort of is now making his own archers as well. Oh, Scout potentially going down. Yep, there's a TC fire. That Scout is down, and now DeMu is blind. He's gonna need to make another Scout. Question is, will he make the Scout from his TC, or will he drop a stable?
I mean, I feel like at this point, the stables wouldn't hurt in the long run, but it just feels like a lot of investment that he might not be able to sacrifice. And Sort of, he's dropping his third TC right as DeMu is wanting to plan to drop his third.
Yes, both players gonna be even when it comes to the TC numbers. Can we check if Sort of has already clicked Fresh Food Stuff? Fresh Food Stuff has recently been buffed, so its cost has been reduced a little bit. It used to cost 125 gold. Now I think it's 75 gold at the moment, so it's a little bit cheaper to get. And he has it as well, so his villagers are already cheap as well. And they're just going to be scaling equally. A small lead right now for Sort of. That's just because he was able to get that second TC up a little bit quicker.
Yeah, and this is really where the map control is key for Sort of. He's going to want to continue that pressure on DeMu, and DeMu doesn't have the knowledge, doesn't have the vision, and really could be punished for this if Sort of finds some locations to pressure.
There he goes. The TC has been found. The military is there, though, for DeMu, so he's going to be able to defend this. It could have been close there. If he moved the military way, sometimes you just move the military way because you're like, TC is 80% finished. I don't need to protect that anymore. you move the military away just in the moment your opponent gets there, it can be a disaster. But that's not happening here today, and we see sort of going for the walls here early on. And this is where we get into this phase, this kind of like Abbasid mirror lifestyle, one could say. The Abbasid mirror lifestyle is all about the boom, and that's what's going on here right now. We got a lot of booming going on. One of the things, though, to keep in mind is DeMu, he's on that economy wing. So all of his eco buildings, that includes the farms, are going to be massively reduced in price.
Yeah, the farm transition is just going to be so much smoother, so much easier. Sort of's created a little bit of a build difference so far, but not enough to be crazy, especially when we're going to blink and both of these economies are going to be in the triple digits here soon.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're going to get to 100 villagers really, really quickly here with 3 TCs on both sides, and it's just going to be a question of who can take map control, and probably going to have a lot of keeps in the middle as well. Keeps are such a nice way to secure map control. You just plonk a keep on a large gold vein, for example. Looking at the large gold veins, by the way, they're both on the right half of the map. So
yeah,
that could be a very, very contested area there.
A nice open area. There's a relic there to secure as well, and some wood lines behind it. That is highly keep droppable spot, and same thing goes for all the sacred sites, really. Is could see that being just that win condition, putting some pressure on your opponents if you're able to get those secured up.
Looking at the eco right now, sort of is getting really close to being able to click up to next age. Just needs a little bit more gold, a little bit more food. DeMu needs roughly he's roughly 500 food behind right now when it comes to the comparison there. Both players still massing archers though behind this. They know that composite bows is going to be the name of the game here for both of them. And yeah, just archers being massed right now while trying to transition into that castle age. And looks like sort of is going to be our first player here to click up to the next age.
Yeah, and it's weird saying that they're prepping their castle ages massing archers, but yes, that is correct. The composite bows is just too strong. Not many other civilizations will you hear them wanting to continue that archer transition into the castle age, but the economic wing is the choice for sort of as well, so forget all of that farm transition talk. He will have that same economic bonus when he is needing to do the farm transition.
Yeah, with that economy wing, it's going to be just in time. He's still on the deer, and there's still a lot of berries on this map. Let's not forget, Lipini has a lot of berries there, so it's going to be a while until he needs to go for those farms, and when he needs to go for those farms, he's going to have that buff. And we see a ram coming up from him as well. This is going to be a super timing-based attack here from him. As soon as he gets the economic wing, he's going to be able to... Actually, he's going to push before the upgrade's coming. He's pushing before. He's getting the ram out right now.
Yeah, and this is the heart of the Muslim's food. It's the deer, it's the berries. He's diving on top of it. Some villagers go down. Usually one ram doesn't feel like enough, but one ram is enough to put some pressure on and get DeMu on the back foot.
Yeah, villagers once again being pulled here in order to take down that ram, but sort of. He's just going to dive again onto those villagers. And, I mean, he's inside the range of the TC right now, so he is taking damage. He can't stay here indefinitely for now, but he does have a good military mass. I mean, the TC, it's only going to be able to fire upon a single unit at a time. And now he's just going to wait. He did a little bit of damage, actually a good bit of damage. Just also looking at the villager count, both of these players are on 3 TC, but sort of right now, he's got a significant villager lead. 13 villagers, that is massive.
And look at the resource per minute on the food count. Just took a nosedive for DeMu. He was up at over 1,000. Now he's sitting at 700, and that's when it's key. You're needing to pump these military units. You're needing to defend up this push that is sure to come back in now that castle is finished.
There we go. Immediately upgrades queued. We got the composite bows upgrade. We got veterancy on the archers. He's going to get the +1 damage next here as soon as he has a resource. Now he has a resource. Just needs to click the +2 damage on the blacksmith. Actually, he spends his wood now, but that would be the next upgrade to get. And he's also making golems here right after that as well. So this is going to be a very good timing push here coming out of Sort of. I'm really surprised right now because Sort of, after his game against Faye, he said, man, am I rusty at the moment. This does not look like rust to me. This looks like peak performance.
Yeah, making the mirror matchup look very clean so far, but it is not over till it's over. I have seen TCs stay alive on the last bit of health. Players overstep from it, and one thing that you do behind pushes is you're defending up. He's shoring up his defenses. He's walling off the whole back side of the map just in case any counter pressure comes out.
Yeah, and this means that he's just going to be able to attack from multiple sides here all the time. Meanwhile, his opponent, he can't really raid. Whenever he raids, it's going to be delayed. Look at that. Military's now trying to clash onto each other, but the upgrades aren't quite there yet for DeMu, sort of already having the upgrades. He's falling back, though, and that gives time for DeMu to research his upgrades.
Yeah, the main key upgrade, though, looks like it is the one missing. Composite bows just now in queue. Already through for sort of, and main fight is going on. Archers, which is all of the damage, just firing off at each other. Front line being cleared quite quickly.
There we go, and now composite bows and composite bows. DeMu does have the archer advantage right now, just with the pure numbers that he has, but here come the Ghulams, and these Ghulams, they're incredibly tanky. They got the bootcamp upgrade, they have a lot of HP, they have almost as much HP as a knight, but they're significantly cheaper in comparison. Still, he sort of decides to pull back, at the same time raiding with a knight though on the side, causing idle time there, and behind that, the economy difference. Almost 20 villager difference right now. This is massive, and we look at the income right now, sort of 2,000 food per minute, DeMu at almost 1,000. There's a huge difference here, and sort of is just looking to be in control of this game.
Yeah, and this is what happens when you're the aggressor. Sword has been putting all of the pressure onto DeMu on the back foot. He's been causing the idle time, still continuing to push up. Reinforcing Ghulams are just V-lining straight for that archer ball, and still has a huge amount of support behind it, having this equal number.
This is looking really, really huge. Both players behind this also going for relics, both already having one of the relics secured from each side of the map. And once again, the economy is being idled. Villagers are getting split off now, running into the economy here from DeMu. And these archers, they kill villagers so much faster. Like, sort of is just fine losing these archers here right now, because he, as long as he has like this one group inside the wood line from DeMu, he can get so much damage there. But now he decides to fall back once again, using the stealth forest here to his advantage. And yeah, I mean, right now, DeMu, he feels kind of dead in the water right now.
Yeah, even winning that kind of, having sort of split his archer mass, it feels like he can win a military fight, but he doesn't. Sort of still has the numbers, still has more units, and that's because all the economic damage he's been continually able to do, continuing to push up, and it is not too much longer until DeMu is going to start running out of these food resources out on the map for himself.
Yeah, and it's going to be really hard for him to sustain villager, like archer production, while also having to make farms. And I don't see that happening right now. Clash is coming in here again, and military on military. Meanwhile, there's still knights from sort of in the backline from DeMu. Villagers pushing out right now, but the archers are still there.
He's trying to go up for the berries. He's out of food, just as we were mentioning. Doesn't have the food resources needed. Doesn't have the backline woodline either. Nowhere to go, nowhere to run to safely. And DeMu does not look long for this world.
30 villager difference now, and it's just escalating right now. More and more units being put up here on the front line. DeMu is now falling further and further behind in the military numbers. Archer number looking really, really strong here from sort of, and now a forward keep as well. This could go further forward.
Yeah, I would love to actually see this even further forward. He's been winning the fights. He's been continuing pressuring. Just punish it and end it here now.
It's also putting out outposts around the map. This is just a masterclass on Abbasid here coming out from sort of, and now the farm transition is coming in from DeMu. It's pretty cheap, so he's still able to afford right now, but look at that. Another fight is happening here, but I don't think that this is one that DeMu can win.
No, and every time this happens, sort of just comes back stronger, comes back with an even bigger vengeance, and yet again has that archer mass split up on the right side. It is all but over, it looks like, going straight for the throat.
Oh my god, so many villagers going down, and they gotta get resource somewhere, but once again they're getting woodline, they're going to the woodline at the front, and the archers are just picking them off, and DeMu knows that he's just too far behind in this game, and he calls the GG. What a game! I thought this was like gonna be a 1 hour game coming out here in an Abbasid mirror, but no, sort of is making it a quick one, and man, that was exciting to watch. Like, if you want to main the Abbasid, Look at how sort of plays, man. This is just exquisite Abbasid gameplay right there.
Yeah, he made that look so easy. TCs were dropped at similar timings. He went military wing, which it felt like, you know, it delayed DeMu a good bit, but even still, they had TCs down. Everything was kind of set in stone, but just that little bit of earlier timing.
Yeah, exactly. Like just getting that timing in, the early delay from the second TC, and just always being there, always having that map control. And it was just so hard for DeMu to get out on the map, secure his resource. And every little bit, every little delay just added up to that big push there from sort of. And the big push, it was consistent, right? There was no stopping in the push. It just kept going and it kept going. And okay, we see our game, our second game here. And this is a matchup that I literally just experienced. We got Mongols against French on Frisian marshes, and boy, I'll say that if I'm Mongols here, I'm feeling fantastic because Frisian marshes does have corner markets, and what does Mongols like to do? They like to trade. This is going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, it's pretty typical from the old days. This matchup hasn't changed too much in the way that the meta has changed still. It's usually Mongols going into their tower rush. They're trying to deny French off of gold. French's usual reaction is to go take the stone and go for a second TC, invest into their economy, and that's where Mongols behind it. They're doing some trade boom, moving their silver tree into the corner, and it's just going to be a battle of mobility and who can take those early big fights.
Yeah, you always have to be careful against Mongols. Like, Mongols, for one, they're going to tower rush you first. So, with the French, you want to have your gold, you want to make knights, but Mongols like to tower rush your gold, so that's going to be difficult early on. And Mongols behind that, you always have to be like, it used to be that when you play against Mongols, the Mongol player was going to be the aggressor, right? The Mongol player was the one that wants to kill you. You're just your normal kind of French player, your French baron, and you just want to boom up. But now with the trade, Mongols are the one that you have to be aggressive against, and that becomes really difficult early on, especially with the double production and that there are Keshiks now. It is really hard to punish Mongols early on, nearly impossible. So I'm really interested to see how this one is going to go because I lost miserably in this matchup early on playing as the French.
Yeah, it's funny when like Mongols first got the Keshiks, they're kind of just weaker knights, and people were first trying to utilize them as knights, and they were like, these are so bad. And it's like, well, you don't really utilize them exactly as knights are. You utilize them to take the map control, as you were mentioning, to really have your opponent on the back foot and allow your trade to just boom. And guess what? Now the Mongol also has gold to spend, units to spend their gold on during their feudal age.
Exactly. It can really escalate quite quickly there. And just going to be a little bit until we see what the game plan exactly is going to be here between these two players. I think Mongols, I'm not even sure if you have to go for a tower rush. Like, knights are strong, but if you just mix Keshiks and spearmen, I don't think you have to be too worried about that. Something that I learned earlier that Cole told me is that if Mongols try to outpost rush you on this map, with the French, just ignore the outpost and go for a second TC. If possible. Sometimes the spawn doesn't really allow it, but if possible, ignore the outpost, go for a second TC, because you also want to scale further economy-wise. All right, here we go. Game number 2, Sort of versus DeMu on Frisian Marshes. Frisian Marshes being one of the more interesting maps that we've got overall. It's been there since the very beginning, right? I think it was like one of the first custom maps that we've had in Age of Empires 4 in like tournaments. And I gotta say, I've grown really attached to it. It's one of those really special maps. You get so much food there, so many sheep, and I really enjoy that. Like, you run around and you got like 20 sheep following your scout. You just feel like the world kind of belongs to you. I really enjoy the kind of map where you get like an insane amount of sheep early on.
Yeah, and it's funny. It feels like they've even, actually, I know they toned it back from what it used to be. It used to, I feel like, have more wolves and more sheep, but it's still one of the, I would say, most favorite maps of mine to watch in tournament play. One of the first ones that was out there in general, and very, I would say, kind of tends to lean towards aggressive civilizations. You're taking the map control, HRE being the exception there, and that's because the amount of food you're able to get, you're just fought yourself into that castle age, which is their sweet spot. but there's so much shoreline fish that you have to take map control or you're giving up the most valuable resource on the map.
Right, this is interesting. So sort of, he went really, really far forward in order to scout what his opponent is doing. I don't think he scouted the barracks, but he went actually so far forward that he saw that DeMu's villagers were still on wood behind the TC. So he knows that's going to be a barracks, and I think he's just going to drop maybe an outpost. No, he's going to go for barracks himself. All right.
Wow, this is not a reaction you'll see a lot from the French. Usually you'll see that from maybe, you know, an HRE player having the prelate to help them out as well. But this becomes very difficult because Mongols, they're doing what you're doing, but better. They have that Uvu producing free stone, able to double produce those spearmen, not have to pay the full amount of resources for them. So this means that French's age up's going to be delayed quite a bit.
Don't forget, DeMu, he used to be a Zerg main. He likes to have a lot of small, tiny units out on the field. So I can somewhat see the Spearman play there coming out from him. But playing Spears against Mongols feels very risky. Mongols are going to double produce early on with that Uvu. So they're going to have a lot of Spearmen out there, and it doesn't delay them too much. You don't have to make houses as the Mongols, so you save some wood there. You can be overall really, really efficient with your economy. And now we see the villager moving out. He's actually not moving towards the gold. Instead, it looks like he's moving towards the stone. That is really interesting. So with the stone, he's gonna block a TC expansion. And can we actually check? This tower is not scouted by sort of. He does not know that that outpost is gonna go up there. He's gonna expect the outpost to go up on his gold. Instead, it's gonna be going up on his stone. So a second TC is gonna be a little bit tougher here for him to get up early on.
Oh, and the scout's just now coming back towards his base, and tower still no vision on it. There's 4 spearmen here. Even if he pulls the spearmen to head straight towards that outpost, I think it's still finishing.
Yeah, I think that one is definitely going to go up. I feel like he's just not looking there right now.
Yeah, I mean, French, it makes sense. Being the French, you want a full focus on making sure that gold is safe. That way you can produce your knights, and feeling pretty good for himself now, sort of. He thinks this is a win, but in reality, he's going to see the outpost on the stone, on the berries finish up, and know that might not have been as much of a win as he thought.
He's invested a lot into these early spearmen here, and still, DeMu, he didn't invest nearly as much into these early spearmen because he has that double production. He was able to get an outpost up behind that. Now sort of scouts the villager suddenly walking back, and he might be thinking to himself, what has that villager done? Where is he coming from? What work did he finish? And then he's going to be seeing the outpost, and there he goes, sees the outpost. School of Cavalry now coming up. Both players aging up right now with 6 to 7 villagers. DeMu actually started with 7, now goes back down to 6. And this is going to be a tough outpost to take down because he's got 5 units inside of that outpost, meaning that it only takes 2 volleys in order to kill a villager if sort of decides to pull villagers here to burn that down.
Yeah, and I love this. DeMu just making sure he can get as much damage out as possible, utilizing that Dark Age con to its full effectiveness, just slow poking those lower health spearmen. And soon enough, he might just be able to pick 1, maybe 2 up, and it can really start to create this snowballing difference over the course of this game.
I think one thing that could be Mongols have the Kashik now, so like they got their own kind of knight, they got a unit that they want to spend a lot of gold on. One of the the best compositions in like French mirrors, for example, is a lot of spears and knights. A lot of spears and knights, and I think that you can somewhat emulate that now with the Mongols, and then you also want to emulate the same thing with the French, right? So it's going to be a composition that he's already going to be fine with.
Yeah, just one thing. I just feel like the big win for DeMu this whole time is just having that Uvu, having that free stone, ability to double produce these units, and not having to pay for his full 7 spearmen that he has out.
There we go. Age up has been finished, and it's already in the perfect spot, the silver tree, in order to trade. And now we actually see sort of also going for an archery ring. So we got a triple composition here coming out from him. He's got the spears, he's got the knights, he's going to get the archers out. And with that, he's got his full composition already ready to go here.
Yeah, arrow slits, though, being finished up on that outpost. First spearman does get picked up now that the Khan can attack while firing, but the first Royal Knight is out, and this is the key difference maker for the French.
Yeah, but DeMu, he can just fall back to that outpost with the emplacement that he has. One of the spearmen, though, looks to be getting picked up. Never mind. sort of is pulling back, and now DeMu, he can just put the injured spearman inside of the outpost and just run around once again with all of his healthy spears, and he's gonna go for spearmen and archers of his own, so we're not gonna be seeing any Keshiks here early on.
Not yet. And DeMu, even investing into an outpost on that gold, knows that it's a little far out, and the French knight is sure to punish that.
Yeah, exactly. And outpost coming out here now from DeMu, but first knight is going to be coming in. Does not get a charge off. All right, that's very important. Oh, he's circling around though. Oh, and the spearmen are coming in as well. This could be a really, really difficult timing here now for DeMu. I'm not sure if he can get this outpost up. No, it's going to go up. He's going to sacrifice villagers for it though. One villager down. Two villagers. Gonna be...
Two?
Oh, it does go down. He went inside.
Was it three? No, it's just two.
It was two villagers, but that is a lot of damage, and arrow slits immediately being researched on that outpost now as well. But I think that sort of has overstayed his welcome here now.
Yeah, this is one of those, like, you kind of felt good picking up the Vil, but losing all of that military, what this allows Mongols to do is invest even more into their trade, invest even more into their economy, and that outpost is a 2-for-1 as far as it looks like it is in the middle of that trade path and will speed up his traders.
Oh, and now there we go, sort of. He's pulling the villagers. Did he grab textiles before? That's what I wonder. With textiles, I think that move is reasonable. Oh, the spearmen pop out.
I mean, that's one Vil going down at least.
Yeah, at the very least here. Puts villager.
The knight goes down.
Now, okay, that's a lot of value. Outpost might go down, but getting the knight for it and getting 1, 2 villagers, 3 villagers. He's gotten 3 villagers there. Okay, now the villager number is equal, and that was a lot of idle time for sort of, right? So big villager pull. I think that outpost was massively worth it.
Yeah, and at this point, I don't know how DeMu can kind of stop this, or that sort of can kind of stop this force of spears that's coming out towards his side. He lost his only royal knight, or his main royal knight that he had out. There's still 3 roaming around, but what damage is he going to be able to do with those?
He is in the trade lane right now from the looks of it, and this kind of forces DeMu to run back with his spearmen. Behind that sort of is in his base. He's going to be able to mass archers back there, but the trade is going to be harassable now, and there we go. We see the trader coming in, knight already there. Trader is going to drop off his resources, and let's see. I mean, he already paid for himself, right? The trader already paid for himself there with that single drop off there, but he's still going to go down. Another trader.
Yep. Same thing's going to happen to him. The problem for sort of, though, is will this knight end up being able to escape with his life, chivalry come into play, and be right back at full health in no time?
The traders come in and the traders come to die. And behind this, though, DeMu's coming in there now with his infantry. And this is kind of an issue, right? You're slower. You're much slower with your infantry than these knights. So being out on the map, it's going to be difficult for you. It is going to be comparably difficult for you. And this is where he's going to need those. Oh! He wanted to bait him, go into the stealth forest and go back out. But the Khan was there and the Khan can see into the stealth forest. So that move did not work there for him.
Yeah, sort of, though. Having that outpost down is able to retake some of that vital food out on the map. Taking the deer, looks like he should take the shoreline fish as well here soon.
Yeah, so lots of resources being gathered up here now for him. But DeMu, he started investing into the Keshiks. And with that, he's going to be a lot more mobile. It's going to be much easier for him to defend his trade. And it's going to be much more difficult for sort of to find any damage in the trade of DeMu. And yeah, I mean, the trade numbers, it's just escalating right now. He's getting a lot of traders out there, and behind all of this, let's look how many traders he has right now. I think he's probably at like 8. Okay, yeah, 8 right now. 8 traders, so that's very good numbers. With 7, you get like the full bonus that the Mongols get. So you get bonus wood, you get bonus food, you get bonus gold out of it, and your trade is going to be really, really efficient.
And look at DeMu with his Khan, just perfectly scouting out these 3 knights moving across. Army's going to be in perfect positioning. Has the Keshiks for his own mobility now. And again, he's just kind of taking full control of this, even though he is the one trading. He is the one on the, I guess, back foot in a sense.
Yeah, Spearman right in position there. Knights have to fall back, move towards the Khan here. But yeah, I mean, the Khan can just run away, can use movement speed arrow. And we look at the army value right now, and DeMu, he's just far ahead. Destruction value also looking really good here for DeMu in this game. And it's just a really, really difficult position right now to be in if you're the French, and I'm not quite sure if there's a comeback chance for French in this one. I certainly didn't see it when I played it, but I'm gonna have to wait. Sort of at least didn't make the same mistake that I made. I went for a second TC in this position, and that is just a nail in the coffin because you're already so far behind militarily. Sort of is just keeping, like, he just keeps making military right now. Maybe if he gets like a really good engagement onto DeMu, if he wins one fight and then blocks the trade, this could be really good for him.
Yeah, I feel like if you're going second TC, it's one of those that it has to come out way earlier into still kind of pressuring the trade a bit. But now at this point, way too late for that second TC. You need to take the control, and it looks like there's a big blob moving up to try to cut off the middle of the trade line more towards where that gold, where that initial outpost was.
There we go. Archers, as he said, moving in. Attack upgrade is about to come in. No Pierce defense yet for DeMu, so these archers are going to be able to do a lot of damage here. DeMu already grabbing his upgrades though as well. Yeah, defense coming in for him now after the attack upgrade. And right now, I mean, looking at the military, it's just looking really, really strong for DeMu. Almost equal number in archers, 20 spears, 8 Keshiks compared to 6 knights. Yeah. There's not a fight anytime soon that sort of can take.
Yeah, and the longer this game goes, the worse it gets for him, because sort of, he's the one behind in economy. Looks like he was about to just lose a few knights there too. And I mean, even worse, he's making a military hole, and look at the resources income per minute. There's no way he's going to be, what?
He didn't lose
all alive? Oh.
All right, okay, that's, wow. Keeps him alive, and with chivalry, able to heal those knights back up again. So that's a pretty big save there. That is a pretty big save. And yeah, there we go. Knights are healing back up. And right now, sort of, he continues to mass. He continues to mass right now, but I mean, this is really tough. We'll see the wood income right now. Sort of is a good bit behind in the wood income, and he's massing archers, so he's not going to be able to mass as many as his opponent is. And this army just looks way deadlier here from DeMu. All these spearmen, they're going to be doing so well here, not just against the knights, but also just as a meat shield in the front line. You don't even mind losing those spears here. If Sort of decides to focus the spears, the archers are just going to completely wipe the archers from Sort of. And he is falling back. He is microing while he's doing that. He's picking off a lot of the spears, so that's a really good micro here from him.
Yeah, but Keshik's still staying alive and healthy. Archers are just slowly moving up in reinforcements, and as that archer mass thins out for Sort of, all of a sudden, Mongols is going to have a significant numbers ahead, but will the French Knights be enough? Main engagement is happening. No spears really into the mix anymore for DeMu, so is having to fall back. But reinforcements are close behind.
Yeah, DeMu had his spearmen split out on the map in order to defend the strait. And while this is happening, there's a small troop of knights from Sort of once again trying to go for a raid on the trade there. But DeMu, he didn't even pull all of the spearmen. Oh, are they passing? I think they're just passing by each other.
They just walked right by.
They did. Oh no, it's an attack move. He's running after them.
Oh, but Sort of has bigger problems at home. Archers and spears into the eco. Fights happening on that front side, but Sort of, he's so distracted, can't micro it, loses a couple more knights, and DeMu is putting the pressure on the French, and this means his trade is fully secured behind this.
The knights ran into the spearmen there as well, so he lost a bunch of knights in there as well. He might be able to clean up this army though, which should give him a really nice... It might give him a chance, actually. Cleaning up this army is pretty big here. The spearmen go down. Now the knights are able to tank up the archer fire. But also be careful. He needs to pull his archers for that again. The knights alone aren't able to deal with this many archers right now.
Oh, and he actually just throws away a couple of extra knights trying to clean this mass up. Should be able to finish it off, but, I mean, at this point, looked like a more even trade than it was seeming to be.
It could have definitely been much worse, and then once again get some idle time in here. But look at the eco numbers right now. 48 to 73 to trade. I'm guessing he's on like 30 traders right now.
I mean, every single resource is DeMu's winning on every single resource count, and some of those he's more than quadrupling on some of these resources. So Sort of is in quite the predicament, and is all of a sudden DeMu's going to be going castle and going to have double the military.
Yeah, it's a really, really rough position for Sort of right now. He did take some good fights, actually. Destruction value is now in favor of Sort of, but it feels like it doesn't matter. Looking at the overall population, 83 to 130. Lots of military out in the field, and Demu just keeps producing. He keeps producing, and his economy behind it just keeps getting better and better. This is really rough. I'm surprised, though, how Sort of still managed to take, like, really good fights here in all of these engagements. But Demu knows that he is not the one that really needs to be aggressive here. He can literally just boom up behind this and be completely fine.
Yeah, and that's the trap you find yourself in being the French. After losing a couple of the fights, you know you need to push forward, but you know you're going to be lacking the numbers to push forward. So you have to kind of push and pull and hope that the army or know that the army is in a misposition to then find a hole in the economy to actually do damage in. But Demu, he has all of those holes checked on up. Massive number of Keshiks here to defend off this Royal Knight raid and just pushes it right back.
And Sort of, he has to fall back from there. It's just too many Keshiks for that Knight raid to really work. And the Keshik numbers are also building. 16 Keshik right now. That is a massive amount of them. Now, they're a little bit worse than Knights, but not by too much. They have like 50 less HP. So having 16 to 10, it's going to be fine for the Keshiks.
Sort of taking the boar in the center, wants to, I guess, secure up some more positioning, some more food for himself, but I don't think he's going to have that position secured for too long, as Demu is starting to group up his forces, and if this ball groups together, there is going to be no stopping it.
And there we go, Demu, he's collapsing onto the economy as well as the villagers move forward and the army here from Sort of, so he's just surrounding him completely, and Sort of, he's pulling all the knights to one side, but the Keshiks are on both ends, and now the Keshiks are able to chase after the archers. Archers are exposed here. Knights fighting against the Keshiks, but the spearmen come in as well, so knights have to retreat, and the archers are still under heavy fire here. And Sort of knows that this fight is not going his way, and with that, he calls the GG.
Yeah, absolutely clinical showing there by Demu. We kind of saw the Civ matchup, and he just showed that if you play that clean game, it is hard to stop the Mongols on this map.
Exactly, and with this, we got our equalizer here. 1-1 so far in the set in our best of 5, so we still have a couple of games to go here. And, I mean, this was just a really clean game. Personally, I gotta say, I'm not quite sure how French is supposed to play on this map in this specific matchup. I think it was a really good call here for Demu to pick Mongols on this map and ban Mongols as well in order to avoid his opponent being able to do something similar. It just feels like Mongols there on this map seem pretty good.
Yeah, any map with a corner market really already starts to feel good, but one that you can really have one outpost almost give vision of your whole entire opponent's economy, really give you all the information that you need, and delay up your opponent for quite a bit of time, gives you that ability to have your trade become online and become that unstoppable force.
All right, and now we see our game number 3 here, and we already see the civilizations that we've got going here. So it's going to be on Dry Arabia, and we see the Ottomans coming out for Demu, and Sort of is going to be playing on the Malians. So the Malians and Ottomans, it used to be that people say, okay, the Ottomans, really good against the Malians, right? They got like this aggro civ that pump out a lot of units, so should be really good against the Malians, right? They are able to put out a lot of pressure, go for the pit mines, destroy the houses, get a lot of value there. But I think with the Malians, ever since the cow boom has come more and more into play, I think a longer feudal age for Malians is definitely a possibility. And with that, I think Malians aren't as bad against Ottomans as they really used to be.
Yeah, it's one that, like, Ottomans, their way of investing into their economy in the longer term is their military schools, which means more military. But Mali, that's kind of one of their biggest strengths, is they were one of the civs that just masses up a ton of units, and they're able to do so with the passive economic resources, and that's going to be their big advantage over the course of this game. The pit mines that you mentioned, they're going to have the Mansa quarry come on out. They're going to have those cows in those ranches, and I mean, it's what, 5-10 sofa that are going to be pumping out per minute. It's going to be hard to deal with.
Yeah, I think the way it goes, it's like a military school is worth roughly like 3 villagers, 4 if you get the vizier point for the faster production, I think. Maybe even less, I think like 2 to 3 villagers. Meanwhile, a pit mine, if you build all the houses around, that's like 3 villagers right there. You get the Mansa quarry, that's 2 villagers worth of income. And that with every additional pit mine just keeps growing and growing, in theory, Malians have a better like economy, but a benefit for Ottomans is that these military schools, they just keep producing all the time, right? There's no downtime there. They're just going to keep going. And sometimes with Malians, you might find yourself in a situation where you have too much gold and you can't really do anything with it. It doesn't really, there's not really that point if you go for the Farimba garrison, but recently we've seen the Grand Falani Corral just being kind of like the go-to landmark in these kind of games. And I think DeMu is definitely, or not DeMu, but sort of. What do you think, Farimba or Grand Falani Corral? I'm actually like thinking about. I think Farimba is probably more his flavor. I would say.
I feel like Farimba's his flavor, but I feel like the Grand Falani is going to come out because once you have, I think we're going to see a little bit of that extended feudal age. And once you have that extended feudal and you have, let's just say 4, 5, 6 production buildings down, going Farimba feels not as strong anymore. It's almost like going Burgrave when you already have 3 barracks. You're like, why are you going to go Burgrave when you got to already have half the strength out there? And so that's the way I look at it. Even though it allows you to be more one-dimensional because it's just gold that you're utilizing there, it doesn't give you that strength of the cattle ranches.
Yeah, the cattle ranchers are just so superb. You get so many free resources, and the most important thing is the resource that you get, there's no pop space behind it, right? You're getting like 1,500 food if you max it all out without investing any population space into it. And we're about to see what the game plan is going to be exactly here between these two players as our game number 3 begins. And we're starting here with DeMu going for an early barracks without even going for the military school first. So he wants to immediately put on pressure on sort of.
Yeah, and I love this play. It's almost a play we used to see a lot into team games, actually, where we'd see the barracks and a military school come down. But having the barracks get dropped first, it really allows you to have your spearmen come out and pressure that pit mine sooner than later because the military school, it's just too slow.
Yeah, the military school, your spearman is going to arrive at your opponent's base by like 3 minutes into the game. Meanwhile, if you make the barracks first, you get your spearman out, and it's going to be on the opposite side by like a minute 30, minute 40-ish. So you pretty much have a minute advantage if you opt for the barracks instead, and that's what DeMu's doing here. And the first spearman is already out on the field now.
Yeah, first spearman out, next one in queue, and it's not like this is a thing that you expect a lot. I would say it's like Ottomans, they're one that usually it's military school or no military school, not barracks or military school. So might get a little bit of a shock to sort of, and the big question is when does he get the knowledge? When does he get the information that this is happening?
Yeah, that's gonna be the question, right? I mean, maybe if he scouts it just randomly with his scout while patrolling for sheep, he might see it. I don't even think it's worth going for Donzos then. I think it's probably better to just make an outpost there instead of investing 150 wood into a barracks for sort of to defend against this. Just get the outpost out and you should be pretty much fine.
Yep. DeMu, he's sending his scout out trying to find out where that gold is. The fortunate spot for sort of is that it is on the sees the first house though. So DeMu knows exactly where to send those spears on over to. Doesn't have to path all the way around that forest, but was kind of close to having to do so.
Yeah, that is very good. Oh, one of the spearmen goes down. All right, so it's the range there from the TC. It's really close, and just one spear gets a little bit too close. Oh, another spear has to be careful with his pathing. Nope, he is able to sneak on by, and with that, now DeMu has a couple of spears on his opponent's pit mine. It's going to be able to start burning down these houses, and that's going to be quite annoying when you're playing as Malians. But the reaction here, Saharan Trade Network coming on out, and with that, DeMu is not going to be able to burn down too many houses. As soon as that age up finishes, he has a fully fledged outpost there with emplacement. So DeMu might be able to get like one house. Maybe he's able to start burning another. I think he has to commit to this one house.
I mean, this totally changes up this beginning point that we were thinking about. You know, we were talking about Manticore, all these passive resources, never even mentioned the early barracks, thinking that it would be a possibility from DeMu, but changing up this beginning portion of the game and sort of on the back foot. I don't think he came into this game planning that the Saharan Trade Network was going to be his go-to.
Yeah, and this is really good for DeMu now, because this pretty much means that sort of is, in theory, down 2 villagers. he's not going to be able to get the Manzaquri, and so he loses out on like 2 villages worth of gold income. That can hurt quite a bit, especially if you want to go for cattle. It means like you're getting 1 cow less per minute.
Yeah, and the 3 spears were enough to get a second house down and then escape with their lives as well. So a good little bit of economic damage that DeMu was able to do. I would say more than kind of paid for his investment, considering the biggest thing is that economic landmark difference.
Yeah, exactly. And now DeMu also aging up though behind this with the Twin Minaret Madras. So even though he invests into 4 spearmen, the timing isn't going to be too bad here for him, and he's going to be able to age up relatively soon here. It's going to be roughly like 4-minute 50, 5-minute 5-ish when he ages up, so it's pretty much fine for him. And yeah, he's looking pretty solid so far. Already has a couple of units out on the field, and obviously the big payoff here was that Zaran trade network. Like, that's like killing 2 villagers. That's already really, really nice. And also, he is parking those spearmen on the next gold mines from his opponent. So it's not going to be, or at least he will know when the next pit mine is going to be placed. And for now, sort of has to build military. He can't just go out and place the pit mine. He has to make military in order to get there first. So much value just gained by DeMu here with these couple of spearmen.
Yep, just now moving out to that stone, able to drop those military schools as he's aging up. Probably will just focus on getting the first, and then, you know, a second one as he sees fit. I do love the location for the Twin Minaret. It allows all the berry bushes to be tucked up right next to the TC as well. You know, no real pressure able to go down on that berry landmark.
There we go. Fuel age has been reached. Archery range now being built by Solov, since he does want to get access to that gold mine. I'm wondering what exactly the game plan is going to be here for DeMu. I think personally that I don't think he should go for like a fast castle age himself. I think he can just play the normal kind of Ottomans play and just build a lot of military out. And I think that Sipahi, especially, ever since we've seen like how Sipahi have been changed, they're really good. Just amassing a lot of Sipahi gives you an incredible amount of value. Not just because they get that bonus range, but also because they're great at denying these pit mines. They can also attack faster with their active ability. So when you press it, they also throw the torches faster. So they're really, really quick at burning down these buildings as well. So having a couple of Sipahi just out and scouting the golds and maybe being able to take down these pit mines really, really quickly is quite nice in this matchup for the Ottomans.
Yep, and double military schools. I assume he is going to swap those on over to Sipahi, as you were mentioning, to do the exact thing. Pressure those pit mines, not allow that passive income to really just boom up for the Malians. Spears still just kind of circling. Archers are out and should push them back, but this is where the game has... Beginning parts of the game has kind of changed it up, and now we're to the point where we expected. Ottomans, military schools, Mali getting their pit mines down, getting their cattle ranches down, and getting more of that economic investment on their side.
Now we're also seeing some javelins being made here by Solov. So javelins, pretty good unit, very good against archers. But right now I think he needs spearmen as well, because right now DeMu, he's investing a lot into these Sipahi, and javelins just get completely stomped by Sipahi. Instead, sort of, he's made a stable of his own. Sipahi also are pretty good against sofas.
Yeah, you can't get that imported armor here in the feudal age. Once they're castle age, those sofa kind of act a little bit different from horsemen and try to act more like knights then, but still have a long ways away until that happens.
Yeah, more and more archers being produced right now. Sort of, he's getting the warrior scouts upgrade now, so his scout's gonna be a little bit faster. It's gonna be a little bit tankier, does some damage as well. Not seeing any more warrior scouts in queue for him though. Now we see archer rangers being added by DeMu, so he's going for that normal Ottoman composition, adding a lot of archers supported by Sipahi. And he's just gonna build up a big military force and try to get a big push going on those pit mines, I think.
Yeah, and can't forget about the meta that is involved with them. That is one of the units that you cannot forget about with the Ottomans. If you're playing against them, focusing down, you know, if they just have 2 metas in the fight, focusing down those 2 metas quite quickly can be the difference makers in these big military clashes.
Yeah, the meta buff is quite significantly, so you can change it between 15% attack speed for all of your units, +2 melee armor, or +1 ranged armor. And these buffs are very significant. With the diverse composition, or when you're fighting against a diverse composition, having the 15% attack speed can really make a huge difference. Now, we look at the map right now, and sort of, he's going to be able to perfectly wall in these pit mines that he has. These two woodlands, they're just begging to be walled off to. And there we go, Villager is coming to wall off, but DeMu has his army nearby. Is he going to be able to deny that wall off from happening? No, it's only a spearman in the front, so wall off is going to be happening there. That's going to make the engagement a little bit annoying there. However, it's only 3 segments of wall, so if he burns down the middle one, the entire wall is going to be gone.
Yeah, I mean, it's only 3 segments, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It's such a small investment for sort of, so it's really, really nice with that ability, and it looks like he's just going to close up the top side as well, which very, very low cost way to have almost your corner of the map fully secured over here. 3 gold mines.
And behind that, the cow boom, it's working, like it's paying off so quickly. So he's already got a lot of cattle in these ranches. He's getting a lot of food from that.
DeMu just circling. He's trying to find a place to pressure, trying to get onto those pit mines, but sees the gate, sees the wall finished, and kind of just pulls his military back to regroup and starts researching siege engineering. He is going to be going for the throat here.
I really wish DeMu would make a stable and not just rely on these military schools that he has right now. Just another stable, pump out a couple more Sipahi, because if you have like a big mass of Sipahi, getting like 4 or 5 Sipahi, you split them into like individual groups. If you get them in, you're able to pretty much one-shot villagers. But even in fights, Sipahi are just really great. So having a lot of them there is, I think, key for the Ottoman army. And there we go. Oh, he actually made one. Okay, never mind. He's made a stable. He's adding Sipahi with that as well. So he's going to have a really good army there. And now first ram is going to be coming out. And he's not pushing on the pit mines. Instead, it looks like he's going to be pushing on the cattle ranches.
Yeah, going for that. I mean, if you think about how many resources goes into each one of those cattle ranches, it's what, 150 for the ranch and then 100 for each cow?
The ranch itself is only 100 wood.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's 95 per cow. I think it was nerfed once and it was buffed once and was nerfed again. I think it's 95.
It's probably something around there. I'm not a Molly man over here, but I just know how to play against them. That's it. And the first ram hitting the ranch. Cow's going to pop out from that ranch as it gets destroyed, and let's just see if DeMu has a quick follow-up in killing those cows.
Oh, sort of. Not waiting for the ranch to get destroyed. He's popping out the cattle earlier, which means that DeMu is not going to be able to just shoot them with the archers and get them down. There aren't any Donzos right now in the army for sort of, so every Sipahi that DeMu adds is going to be a lot of value here in these fights, in these upcoming fights. Ram is just going to be running around again, looking for another ranch. This one doesn't have any cattle in it, but he's still getting rid of it. He's saying, that's 100 wood, I'm taking it.
Yep, those cows made a full circle, found their way into another home. Don't know if that was a home they wanted to be in, but it's safe for the time being. Javelin throwers, archers firing down on all of those Ottoman units. That meta is so close to getting picked off, as I mentioned earlier. Love to focus that if there's only 1 or 2 in fights.
Military numbers still looking good for DeMu, but he doesn't want to take a fight that's too close to TC, because sort of can just run back to TC. And then DeMu can't really take any efficient fights anymore. Behind this, looking at the economy, pretty even right now between these players. Obviously, there's a spike for the Malians when it comes to their gold in comparison. But the key resources that we've got going here, food and wood, are pretty even here.
Yeah, but it's not always about the economy. It's sometimes about the economy in the bank. And as we see DeMu's bank, he has other plans than actually all-inning. He's just doing this little bit of faint pressure to then have a free castle age timing behind this.
I'm wondering what he's going to do with the castle age timing. Is he maybe investing into a vizier point, get those 2 imams out early and go for some relics? Because relics are also really important for the Malians, getting a lot of gold through them. But also means it's going to be really important for the opponent to deny them. And there we go, Mehmed Imperial Army actually being rushed up really quickly now. 18 villagers on that. And I think with that, DeMu might want to just book it and run away, because those units from sort of, as soon as the age up happens, he's gonna go for a wild goose chase on him.
Yeah, you know you have that advantage because your opponent spent that many resources into the castle timing, but DeMu just needs to wait for Castle Age upgrades to come through before taking the fight, and it should go heavily his way.
There we go, Castle Age timing hits now. 13 minutes 40 into the game. Already has a big amount of units out on the field. And now there we go. As soon as the age up happens, the army from sort of is just bursting out of his base. He wants to find the army from DeMu as fast as possible. But DeMu, he's already made his escape. A couple of sofas splitting off there, trying to get a raid in. And at the same time, though, Demu's army is coming back to his base right at the same time. And he's also getting textiles just finished.
What perfect timing, only going to lose maybe one villager from that sofa raid, and it could have been quite a few of those villagers going, well, I guess you might lose one more if you don't pull them all the way home, but sofa get cleared on up, and as far as now, DeMu, not too damaged for that castle investment.
Yeah, he's looking really good right now, but behind that, sort of actually just about to hit Castle Age as well. And DeMu didn't get a lot of damage in there, right? So these cattle ranches, as soon as the age up happens, that's a lot of value there for sort of. See some Janissaries also coming out right now. There we go, Grand Philani Corral, 24 villagers on that age up. That bad boy is gonna get rushed up as soon as possible. Not the most optimal with the cattle ranches placement, but considering that he was under pressure by DeMu there, I think it's fine. He can just invest 300 wood, pop a couple more cattle ranches down, and rearrange them that way.
Yeah, that's exactly what will end up happening in just a little bit, but it does sort of have that little bit as DeMu, he popped that, did he pop the Vizier point for Janissaries, or did he just, looks like he might have just made
them. Yeah, he made them. He just invested a little bit of resource into it. I'm not sure if it's really worth it, since you want to have that gold initially just for upgrades, and he isn't getting the upgrades that he needs. He's not getting +2 armor, pierce armor, +2 pierce damage, so I think the Janissaries might be a little bit of a misplay. But he does have his army here there, and sort of, he doesn't want to fight this. He has to avoid the fight right now as much as possible, because the Malians, their veterancy upgrades, they're cheaper and they come in quicker. That's one of their civilization bonus, so he needs to wait a little bit longer. There we go, veterancy has been researched. But the army, it's just, yeah, the sofas aren't there.
The sofas are circling back around. DeMu just perfect timing attack. The upgrades weren't through, and DeMu had all of his. Not only that, the sofa weren't there, and this looks devastating onto Sort of's economy and his military numbers.
The Saharan Trade Network, though, provides a huge amount of value there with the 10 pop space there for the villagers to jump into. And with that, the army from DeMu, it's actually gonna get liquefied, I would say there.
Oh, okay. Okay now. All right, but even still, this game has kind of been turned on over. You can see sort of, he doesn't have a place to safely gather that wood. He has Sofa sitting under DeMu's town center, who's also taking damage on the other side. Both players, double-digit villagers being idled right now. Absolute mayhem.
But you know what economy isn't idle behind this? Cattle. Cattle are still working. They're still serving that prime Wagyu beef for the Malian villagers, so he still has a lot of food income behind this.
The mangonel that was free out of the Mehmed Imperial Armory popped on out, and it looks like DeMu's final few archers are being cleared up, but he's saying not before I can try to get another villager or two to pay off their lives.
Yeah, so a lot of idle time has been caused on both sides, but looking at the villager count, it's pretty even right now. Pretty even, but one side has cattle, the other side has military schools. I think overall it's pretty even right now, especially with the free siege that's coming out as well. But DeMu, he still has a much bigger army value right now out on the field.
Yeah, and that's kind of where it should tend to stay that way until Mali is able to full produce out of all the production, have those cattle ranches fully online. So this is their sweet spot. You see 3 Sofa in queue, but really should expect that number to climb a lot more considering DeMu's queue on his side.
And DeMu's he's also not been slacking behind us. He's gathering relics. He's already got, I think he just had 2. I think he just put 1 out of his monastery again. There we go. 2 in the bank, 1 more on its way back to his base. That's pretty good value there. That's like 2 villagers worth of income for every single relic that he's getting there. So that's pretty nice. That's another way that he can get himself ahead right now in this game. Looking at the food income though, he's like sort of is on pretty much double the food income, but the mango can make a big difference there. And DeMu, he has a couple of Janissaries in his army, so the Sofas might not be able to do as much damage as they want to. It's not too many Janissaries there.
Oh, DeMu was investing in the walls behind this. Walls didn't finish, it looks like. However, DeMu's pushing back onto those cattle ranches, has a mangonel that is probably about to start lobbing some rocks onto those cattle.
Oh, those 4 Sofas getting a huge amount of value here. It's like 20 villagers being completely idle right now, more than 20 villagers, and this hurts a lot. And DeMu behind this, he's running into the base of sort of, but he's not really able to stay here for too long. Mangonel can't get that shot in. No, there we go, shot coming in. Oh. It's a good shot on those archers, but now it's being focused by the Sofas. Manages to stay alive though. This is dangerous for sort of.
Yeah, really, really good fight for DeMu here. Mangonel able to get a huge fire off onto those archers and still just remassing up on that front side. Sofa raid has been cleared up, which means all the reinforcements from DeMu are about to join forces as well.
16 Janissaries. DeMu just popped the Vizier point. That's going to be a lot of Janissaries out on the field. Very solid, big shot!
Oh my god!
A big mangonel shot. Oh my god, and the army value just completely plummeting now for sort of. Barely has any military left standing, and the army from DeMu, it's more than double the military value right now. And now DeMu, he's going for the throat. He's dropping down the rams. He wants to push into sort of space right now.
Yeah, he knows how big of a shot that was. He knows how big of a military trade that just happened, and all of the economic bonuses he's had. Not only are the relics, he's had 3 relics secured, he's wrapping up the sacred sites now to combine with it.
Sort of. I'm not even sure if he has a siege workshop right now. When you play against the Ottomans, you need a siege workshop sooner rather than later because of these free siege that the Ottomans get, and you just can't rely on your cavalry in order to take down the mangonel because of the body blocking that can come out there.
Yep, and Ram pushing on up towards those ranches. That beautiful, beautiful Wagyu beef is about to start being pressured, and not that food income that we're going to see is going to start falling quite quickly for sort of here.
Yeah, the Ottomans, they can't eat the boar, so they're really desperate for that Wagyu beef, and man, this is tough. Okay, the cattle ranches are now getting destroyed as well. Cattle are gonna go down here potentially if you just focus them a little bit, but no, big fight now happening here. Mangonel shots doing a lot of damage to the archers.
The Janissaries though just make the Sofa become worthless, and in the backside, yeah, there's poison archers, but just doesn't seem like there is enough. Mangonel still firing off. Villagers being pulled to go try to burn down the mangonel, but there's still military units here for DeMu. This just seems so desperate for sort of.
And the body block comes in as well. Villagers going all down there. So many villagers have lost their life, and the mangonel is still standing. Still, there are 16 Janissaries out of the field. Sofas getting absolutely obliterated here. Sort of has lost all of his army. Meanwhile, the ram, there's still a ram alive, and a lot of these cattle ranches have gone down. With that, sort of, his food economy is pretty much completely gone.
Yeah, his food economy is gone. Everything behind this is going to start being vulnerable too. We saw DeMu push forward through the base. One Sofa trying to get some return fire down, but I don't think that's going to be enough, even if DeMu doesn't spot it out for the next couple minutes here.
Both players have lost a lot, but it just seems like sort of he's lost so much more when it comes to his economy, and with that, another huge shot. Oh god, that is a lot of dead archers, and well, not dead, but about to be dead. These archers, they gotta pull the bowstring with their feet because their arm is missing, and sort of he knows, he calls it GG. 2-1 now for DeMu.
Yeah, I think he's going to have some nightmares about mangonel shots after that game, but what a good clinical finish there by DeMu. It didn't look like he had the opportunity at some points in that game, but was able to close it on out and prove victorious there on game number 3.
Yeah, that was a very even game between them. It really came down to these fights that they took, and man, it was really, really close. But Janissaries there, I feel like the big issue here in this one was that sort of he didn't really respect the siege enough from DeMu. that mangonel got so much value, and like a single mangonel probably killed like what 20 archers overall. It did so much damage to them, and with the archers just not being able to freely take down the janissaries, it meant that the sofas were exposed, and the janissaries just destroying the sofas. I think if maybe he gone for a Springald or his own mangonel, the game would have probably went way different there. But yeah, just really well played by DeMu, taking that window and going for the castle age there. And now we see, sort of, he's picking the Ottomans next, and we are going to be going over to regions, and it's going to be HRE versus Ottomans.
Yeah, Regions is a fun map to see. And as you were talking about those mangonel shots, it's not always even about the kills, too. Sometimes it's about just taking them down to that quarter health, and the Sipahi just get to come finish and just one tap all of them. It's such a satisfying finish. But enough of game number 3. We got game number 4. And Regions is a very cool map in my eyes. It's one that it kind of forces you to take this mid-game map control due to their giant resource node locations.
Have we seen regions during the Elite Classic? I don't think we've seen regions during the Elite Classic. I think it's just the first big one for the call to arms. I think like regions is, or at least we haven't seen it a lot in the Elite Classic. So regions is a very special map. You can already see by this image here that we got going here. There's a lot of resources, and they're all stacked next to each other. So there's a lot of areas that you want to contest for. You got one corner where there's a lot of deer. You got one corner where there's a lot of berries. And in the middle, there's a lot of stone and a lot of the gold on the map. So that's where you really want to go. That's where you want to have map control. And you need map control there in order to secure gold and make units.
Yeah, it's just one of those, if you start running out of your initial gold vein, and a lot of times your opponent will already have a keep up in the middle if you haven't respected that map control and you've been that civilization to kind of wall yourself in and be like, well, just give me 20 minutes, give me 25 minutes, and then I'm going to come out. Well, this map is one of those that you can't really do that as much on this one.
Yeah, walling there is a little bit difficult. It's a very open map. There are woodlands that you can wall to. You can usually wall in like a spot around your base, but you can't really wall in a lot of the outer resource that you want to go to. Instead, what we usually see is keep drops in the middle gold there.
Yeah, and I think that might have. Did you play on regions earlier today? And did Anatan drop a keep on that center gold when you were playing against him?
We both did.
Yeah, see, and I mean, that is kind of the story of the map. It's one of those that you put investments into those. If you don't have gold, AoE 4 is a very difficult game to end up finishing.
Yeah, gold control, very, very big here on this map. I guess there's some ways you can still work around it. So the Ottomans, rarely seen, but the Ottomans, they do have a landmark that generates free gold. They got like a trade landmark. Usually you don't go for it because there's just so much food potential that you get with the other landmark. HRE, if they get relics with the Ragnitz Cathedral, then they have a really good way of generating gold without having map control. But I think you really, really need that middle. It's so much gold. There's like 24,000 gold in the middle. And whoever gets that is obviously going to have a huge advantage, especially when you're playing as like the Ottomans. You want to make Janissaries, you want to make Knights, and those are very, very expensive units. The HRE, they can sort of play without a lot of gold with the passive generation. They're only making men-at-arms. Those aren't too expensive. They make horsemen, they make spearmen, a lot of infantry. They can live without gold. Ottomans, they crave it. They really want it. So Ottomans is definitely going to be the one here that needs to take control over the middle.
Yeah, and they're usually the ones that are more natural to take control over that middle anyways. They're military schools. Their economy is in their military. So that's where, what do you do with your military? You don't sit in your base. You're not doing anything with it. That's not creating you an advantage. You need to pressure your opponent, and that's going to be exactly what we see.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be what's happening here. I'm wondering if Ottoman's going to open up with a military school at all. I don't think it makes a lot of sense against the HRE, because what the HRE can just do is they can just pull their prelate, and they're going to be completely fine there. It's still going to be an option, though, to give you like early map control. So we might still see it. And there we go. Game number 4. DeMu versus Sort of. The scores are switched right now. It is DeMu that is leading 2-1 right now against Sort of. So don't be fooled here. DeMu is indeed the one leading right now, and we do see sort of he's opening up with those 5 villagers on the stone mine. So there we go, we switched it around. So he's going to be opening up with that military school. There we go, villagers in sight, and military school about to be built.
It's kind of like the same story we had last game, where we actually saw the barracks come out last game, and you're actually able to get pressure off with the barracks. The military school, it's going to be 3 minutes and some change by the time that first single spearman gets across, and we just saw the base of DeMu. He's got a backside gold. It's going to take that much longer for the spearmen to get there, that much longer for reinforcements to try to get there, and, you know, I don't think that military school is going to be too effective.
This is a very good spawn here for DeMu. I think that with the spawn like that, he might just go for a second TC, even on a map like this that is really, really aggressive, because he can both get the wood, the stone, and the sheep that he's starting with, and the gold, all in range of the Archon. Now, he's not going to get any additional food source in there, but honestly, when you have like an Archon chapel next to a woodline, a farm transition comes pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, that is just one of those god spawns that you see with the HRE where you kind of take that look and you're like, I can get every resource. All right. That seems like a no-brainer play to me as far as that chapel location. And even if you don't go second TC, it helps for things like we were talking about, such as that first keep drop or outpost emplacements and things of that sort.
Exactly. And here we go. First spearman is about to pop out. Roughly 2 minutes 15-ish into the game, it should be, when it spawns, and it's just gonna make his long way across the map. It's not gonna get a whole lot of value just because DeMu has that gold, as we said, way in the back. And now we go, Archon Chapel is about to be placed. There we go, Archon Chapel has been placed, and with that, that's gonna be a pretty good spot. How many tiles is that between the Archon Chapel and the TC? Please tell me. It looks like 5. That's ugly. It looks like it's 5 tiles. That is not cool.
Yeah, I mean, look at... I love the...
Maybe it's 4. No, I think it's 4. I think it's 4 tiles. Yeah, okay, that's perfect. That's optimal. Yeah, 4 is okay. 5 is not something that you want to see. You want to be able to fit 4 farms in between that. Like 2 farms in between.
Will's pulled onto the chapel now. Guess he is wanting to get a very quick timing, and yes, it feels bad because 10 villagers aren't working right now, but this is also going to be 10 villagers that will be inspired that much quicker by the chapel.
Exactly. That's one of the... that's how you can reason, like, pulling that many villagers onto it. That and HRE only need 3 inspired villagers on sheep in order to be able to constantly produce villagers. So it's going to be completely fine for him. And I wouldn't be surprised if he just puts all of these villagers on wood, get up to like 450 wood, and then pull all of the villagers back over to stone. Actually, never mind. It looks like he's making military early on. He's dropping an archery range.
Ooh.
Archery archers.
You know, it used to be a thing that was so rare to see. It used to be kind of one of those that it really was a shock to see it and call it out and be like, oh my gosh, the rare seeing it. Now, I feel like almost every game that I'm seeing HRE, they're not that one-dimensional military anymore, and he needs the archers anyways to counteract the first couple spears.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of players just started being more aggressive with the HRE, even in Feudal Age, but actually it looks like that archery range was just to cover, because now he's putting a lot of villagers over to stone, and so the second TC, as I said, is going to be coming up, and there we go. Archer is going to be in time in order to defend against that one spearman that has only just now arrived, and with that, second TC is pretty much undeniable now.
Yep, just the most minimal investment here by DeMu to make his whole entire economy safe again. You don't have... like, this allows him to spend his APM elsewhere. He doesn't have to sit here and constantly micro these villagers, worry about the spear, pop the prelate in and out. He's just like, all right, cool, push your spearman back home, and I get to find myself in my sweet spot.
Exactly, and now Ajab is coming in. Looks like sort of immediately switched his military school over to archers as well, so he's not making a production building. Instead, it looks like he's sending more villagers over to gold. Could this potentially be an Ottoman fast castle? That's not something that's rare. I think it's pretty meta playing against the HRE, going for the Ottoman fast castle. And I think it could be especially good when DeMu is going for that second TC, because standard turn delays the castle age timing from DeMu. But the HRE can still get a pretty decent castle age timing out of it.
Yeah, especially if you think about where this secondary TC goes. He fully secures up this deer spawn. He just finished up these backside walls, so his gold, such a hard resource to pressure as well, even though, you know, Fast Castle might not be pressuring anything at all, but this allows DeMu to kind of secure up the main resources he needs as the HRE.
Yeah, he's got gold. He's got everything in the back of his base pretty much, which he needs until he gets up to Castle Age with the deer as well, right under the TC. He's in a really, really solid position right now. It's also just amazing having the Archon Chapel in the back instead of in the front. It makes a huge difference because you can just have that perfect farm transition happening in the back of your base, where it's really hard to for your opponent to really deny that or do any damage there. So he's in a wonderful position right now, and right now, he still has a lot of villagers on wood. I'm not sure exactly what he's planning. Okay, Scout is just delivering sheep. Maybe he was waiting for that. But I think what he should be doing is try to go for a Castle Age as fast as possible behind this, because sort of is definitely going for that right now.
Oh yeah, sort of just about halfway there in the food department, more than halfway there on the gold. And DeMu, he's going to have to spend food on 2 TCs, although he's got about 40% more food coming in because of that chapel.
Yeah, next drop-off should happen somewhat soon. Right now, the income isn't really that realistic because it takes a while for the deer to fill up for the villagers. They carry 25. Actually, with the HRE, even a little bit more, since they do have a passive buff for that, where they carry 40% more resources. And with that, yeah, the food income should look way better for DeMu in a little bit, but he's also, it looks like he's also going for farm switch behind that, and he's grabbing eco tags. That's a pretty big investment. Like, he's not going to be in Castle Age for a while, but sort of is just about to click up soon.
And he's got a ton of wood in the bank. I don't know if this is for like an earlier farm transition and dropping farms in here to help bolster this, or if it's going to be some production to help defend this potential push that's going to be coming on, because I assume sort of once he ages up, he's going to start sending knights across the map too.
Yeah, just send some knights, try to harass them a little bit, and behind that, it's very easy to gather up the relics behind that. And if HRE is without relics here, then they need control over the middle. With relics, they don't necessarily need control over the middle, but without relics, it is going to be imperative for DeMu to get control over the middle, because that's where all the gold is. If he has 0 gold, this is going to be really, really difficult for him. And there we go. Mehmet Imperial Armory is coming in, 10 villagers hammering away at that. DeMu does spot this, and he isn't too far away from Castle Age himself. 1 minute, and then he should probably be able to click it. Question is he going to be able to go for the recklets? Because with the vizier point, it might be that sort of very soon can literally just spawn 2 imams immediately.
Oh my, and that wood, it was for triple stables for DeMu. He is going to be ready to pump those knight numbers out, but even with triple stables, can you match the production coming out from Ottomans if they have military schools online and these stables themselves going untouched with relic control?
And right now, sort of, he mainly has archers in his military right now. There's a couple of spearmen, so I think just knights is going to be perfectly fine here, starting off with, and sort of, he's getting his knight out as well. Just going for knights also means that, I mean, DeMu scouted there's no barracks in the base of Soul. So these spearmen, they're still Dark Age spearmen. They're not upgraded at all. And now Regnitz Cathedral is being built with 15 villagers. So DeMu is going for a very fast age up here. And there aren't any imams right now for Sort of. He really needs to get going there if he wants to deny any of the relics here for Sort of.
Yeah, I'm actually shocked. Typically what you'll see against HRE is them utilizing that vizier point to get the 2 imams, which I think he just clicked. And you'll have those out on the map immediately prepped with your fast castle play, but not what sort of prioritized, although he is heading out now, better late than never.
There we go. First relic immediately picked up by DeMu. He's just moving back now with the prelate. Military from Sort of could potentially be in position. Okay, what?
Oh, it definitely will be in position now.
Yeah, that's premature conversion there coming out from DeMu, actually revealing the location of the prelate. So now that prelate is going to get taken down. DeMu's, though, he's just going to make another one. The relic is now closer to his base, so that is quite nice. And behind that, Sort of immediately picking up 2 of the relics in the middle, and another prelate gets found out. This could be devastating now for DeMu. He might only be getting a single relic here, and he invested into the Regnitz, so that is not the value that you're looking for.
That knight's on the deer eco. He hasn't noticed it yet. Even if he pulls all the vills away, this is idle time that is key, because right when you're going up to castle, that is your most crucial timing. He's trying to equalize these knight numbers, and you can't pump out of 3 stables with the majority of your food eco idle.
Yeah, this knight, I mean, he is not taking a lot of damage here. He already grabbed the +1 defense armor on that knight, so you see the TC was merely tickling him there, and DeMu, he is far behind when it comes to the military right now, and sort of 2 relics already picked up. DeMu just managed to get the one home that was now a little bit closer to him, there on the right side. But the 2 remaining relics are pretty far away from him, and I think sort of is going to get those. And with that, it's going to be 4-1 when it comes in the relic count, and with that, sort of is going to be in a great position. DeMu's still on a 2nd TC. So he still has a way to scale into this game. It's not over for him yet. But with 4 relics and military schools, it's pretty difficult to stem the tide here, especially since sort of is not going to just fall back. He's going to keep prodding there as well.
Yeah, and you can see how DeMu has already walled himself in. He doesn't really have a lot of map control to go out to, and this is where you really get this timer. The 3 giant gold veins in the middle are going to be crucial, and I wouldn't be too surprised to see sort of slowly start going over to stone to get a keep prepped.
DeMu is finally adding in some crossbows, and that is 100% necessary. You're playing against the Ottomans. You cannot go cavalry and infantry only, because Ottomans, we talked about earlier, Janissaries, really strong unit. Janissaries do as much damage to armored units as a crossbowman would, but they're shredding knights on top of that. Knights and horsemen. Horsemen don't even do bonus damage to Janissaries because they are missing the range tag. However, Janissaries, they do take 50% bonus damage from enemy ranged units. So crossbows are definitely a way to answer that, but sort of, he's also got a lot of crossbows of his own. And now a knight raid though happening from DeMu here. That's a lot of knights. He might be able to pincer these villagers. Gets 1, 2, 3 villagers here potentially.
Yeah, significant amount of eco being idled, significant amount of damage being done, and sort of takes this opportunity to push in on the other side, immediately takes a charge onto the crossbow, onto the spear mass, and this is just base trading, but against 2 TCs, they're going to have a lot of an ability to hide their villagers and reboom faster.
Hide villagers and reboom faster, but that also means that there's more villagers on the map to kill.
Springled is out, unlike last game, and Mangonel just gets obliterated. Farms being idled, stone being gathered on up for DeMu. Knights are still in the base of sort of. He's down to 29 villagers.
Military school still working for him though. Behind that, the economy from DeMu is completely out. He doesn't have any food in the bank right now in order to make units. If sort of can just keep massing units up, and the military from DeMu in sort of space, it's pretty much gone now. It's pretty much gone, and the knights are still remaining here. This could be a disaster for DeMu right now if he doesn't manage to clean up these knights. DeMu actually is still working though in the economy that isn't immediately under fire right now. Maybe he can stabilize.
Maybe he can't. Such a scary situation. Mangonel immediately gets popped by the knights in the base, and DeMu is finding himself in the same situation that he was putting sort of in. Villagers just running, nowhere to go, nowhere to hide, and find themselves some safety here.
DeMu has made a market, but what resources is he going to trade out in order to get units out on the field? He has 3 knights in the queue somehow again, but there are crossbows out on the field. Lots of crossbows out in the field, and knights from sort of, and right now it's just a wild goose chase here for the villagers. TC though is focusing the light infantry here from sort of, so a lot of units there going down. Crossbows are being focused. It's a lot of idle time for both players here right now, but it's just this wild goose chase of like 20 villagers running around. But behind that, DeMu has actually expanded over to the deer in one of the corners, and now he's past the wall and the units can't follow anymore.
I mean, this feels like a French mirror with how much hecticness and raiding and stuff is going on. It's 39-30 on the villager count. Actually, a couple more falling for DeMu again. He wanted to find some vills to house inside that TC to return fire and hopefully keep it alive as long as possible.
Villagers just run around woodline return, but just in that moment, the units from sort of turn around and they find him. And Outpost has finally gone up in the base there for DeMu. He's immediately getting an emplacement on there, sprinkled emplacement. That's going to help him a lot. But still, villagers are being picked off here. It's equal. Villager count is almost equal. That is devastating, and I think we might actually go to game number 5 here if this continues, sort of. He's also got knights there on the deer. He spotted it. If he just moves them over there, it's GG, and there he goes. He finds the villager, gets the attack in, and with that, DeMu is just... He's dead. He is dead. The economy is equal. He doesn't have any income right now, and I think sort of can just prep for another push.
Yeah, and this is where military schools are so valuable. He hasn't had to have villagers working. He hasn't had to have villagers that are running around because those military schools are just constantly pumping for him.
Don't forget behind this, sort of, he is on 4 of the 5 relics, and he's got one of the sacred sites, and he might be able to take the next sacred site with it as well. Oh, the knights, they can't dive onto the mangonel with the wall low, and the mangonel actually coming in clutch here, taking care of the knights. DeMu on a single knight right now when it comes to military.
This game has been a wild one to say the least, but looks like sort of has the military mass to end it, has the military mass to potentially just sit under 2 of DeMu's TCs and just not ever allow him to utilize those at all.
It looks like Textiles has come in. That means the villager doesn't go down here for sort of. Is able to build that monastery and put that relic inside. And with that, the relics are all back in the base of sort of. No way DeMu can get access to them. And he doesn't have a... I don't want to say he doesn't have a great economy. He pretty much has no economy right now. There's 12 knights right now out on the field for sort of. The only thing blocking him right now from ending this game... it's the sprinkled emplacement outposts.
Yeah.
One even has a relic inside. It's so tough to dive onto these. He's gonna need rams. Without rams, you cannot dive in there.
Yeah, and this is kind of one of those traps you can find yourself in playing against the HRE is knowing you're ahead, but not doing the correct moves to end the game. And that's where Rams would definitely help end it. He's going back for that second TC again. No villagers over there. And actually, DeMu's only thing to defend himself is basically a single-digit unit of each type. He's got 1 knight, 1 sprinkled, 1 spear, and 1 crossbow.
It's a very balanced army composition.
Oh,
and there we go. He sees the massive army from Sorov, and he calls the game. And with that, we got a game number 5 on our hands here between Sorov and DeMu. Man, what a series so far.
Unbelievable series. Just a crazy game that one turned out to be. We saw the knights heading for Sordov's base and knew he was in trouble, but the best time to raid your opponent is right when you are getting raided yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Look at the villager count there. It looked really bad for Sorov, but then Sorov just found so many villager kills there in the economy from DeMu, managed to completely equalize it out, and then just with the Ottoman army production, being able to finish it off, man. What a great game here.
Yeah, absolutely wild series we have to start the day. It's 2-2, and we are about to check and see what we have in store for a game number 5.
Exactly, gonna see just what's about. Look at that military count. Was just nothing left in the tank there. Military count didn't even go that far down for Sorov. That's just because the military schools are always active in the back.
Yeah,
always producing units.
That and he prioritized getting some ranged armor, so knew he was going to be diving those TCs, and it makes it that much easier. But Canal will be our last map, so we're going to get a little bit of fishing involved.
It's going to be the decider. It's going to be our game number 5, and it's going to be English for DeMu against Sorov's HRE. That's going to be really great to see. I think English, in theory, is like really favored on this map especially. I think the only way to... I see it in the chat. Yeah, the only real way to, I want to say, avoid water here is to go for something like Mongols and trade, but we've already seen Mongols and it's banned for sort of either way, so that's not going to be something that we'll be seeing here. And English are so dangerous on this map because you can just mass up a lot of longbowmen. And with those longbows, not only can you take great fights against the ships on water, But the Longbowmen, because they have bonus damage, they also deal great with HRE men-at-arms.
Yeah, the longbow, it's almost like the Abbasid composite bow archers. It's like one of those like one size fits all units. It's like those longbows, they're just gonna trade pretty efficiently against everything, especially when you have the APM like these players do to continually kite, to continually position them where they're not getting closed down on by other units.
Yeah, exactly. And man, I just gotta say, we've had so many amazing games here so far. It's absolutely incredible just how great these games were. They were so close, really, really close. Every single one of them so far. And I just want to say that if you have, like, if you didn't know yet, there is something called Twitch Prime. And with Twitch Prime, basically, you get a free Twitch sub every single month if you have Amazon Prime. And man, what a better place to spend it than EGC, because these tournaments, these games that we're seeing here so far, they're absolutely incredible. Yesterday, we had a lot of like really one-sided matches, I would say, because it's like higher seed against lower seed. Now it's winner against winner. So every single set that we got here today is absolutely loaded. This is just the beginning. We got DeMu versus sort of. After this, we got Louis MT versus the one and only Marine Lord, the Doc Baron himself. After that, the Mister versus B, and closing it all out, we got we got a really great one as well. We got Lucifron against Wham. So just a lot of really, really good games coming here today.
Yeah, and not only do you get to support us, to support the channel, you can also feel good about yourselves at kind of filling in that Call to Arms community support goal down at the bottom right, you see. So even more incentives to sub, even more incentives to support this channel, to support these players. But let's go ahead and jump on in. We have game number 5, the game decider, and DeMu is on the East in the English, on Canal, playing against Sort of in the HRE.
Go indeed. And Doc's coming up from both players. Canal is a really, really, I wouldn't say interesting map. So not only do we have this big canal that is pretty much connecting both of the bases from our players here, there's a lot of shoreline fish in there, so definitely worth to go onto water here. But there's also 4 sacred sites on this map, so a lot of potential to passively generate gold. And they're all in the middle-ish of the map. So if you're able to box in your opponent, that could be a very good win condition going for those sacred sites. And a lot of the resources, they're out in the middle. So you only have a good amount of resource in the base to like start off the game. 10 minutes into it, 12 minutes into it, you have to move out. So a lot of aggression is forced on this one.
Yeah. I remember at first, similar to like how Golden Heights is, at first everyone thought English was going to be impossible to deal with due to their villager rush and denying the dock going up. But fortunately with this map, the way the layout is, you can always have your dock built before those villagers can actually deny it on your side.
Yeah, it's a very long canal. It's a pretty fast stretch to walk all the way. So if you just place it a little bit back, you should be completely fine. Now we see sort of going for that early military, going for that barracks. It's a little bit difficult playing with early aggression against the English, because the English, they got their early men-at-arms, which are quite nice. However, up until recently, it was pretty much impossible to really deal with that. But the English men-at-arms have been nerfed in the Dark Age. They only have +2 armor now. They used to have +3 melee armor already in the Dark Age, which pretty much was like, it was pretty OP. It was pretty strong.
Yeah, it was.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. But now they only have 2. So Spearmen, normal Spearmen, actually stand a chance to fight against that.
Yeah, and especially when you think about the resources you're spending for your Spearmen compared to the men-at-arms, you got a little bit of a less investment going for the Spearmen. So yeah, you shouldn't expect them to 1-for-1 trade, but it feels pretty good when you do have those numbers and you have, you know, all of a sudden it's 10 to 6 on the other side, and you can easily win out on that one.
Sort of bringing back a lot of sheep here. That definitely feels good when you're playing SEHRE, to have all of that sheep that you can then boost with the Archon Chapel. Great food source here, especially on this map, where you don't want to walk out too early on in the map, on the map in the game, just because it's so exposed when you walk out there.
Yeah, I think actually one of the biggest turning points in this game in general is when your initial one wood line in your kind of corner of your canal starts running low, starts running out. When you have to go out for your secondary wood line on the outsides of the water, that is when devastation can start to occur.
All right, hear me out. Just because this map the resources are so far away from your main base, and just because of the map way that sort of has placed his houses so far, I'm thinking we might see a mine work here. Because if not, then sort of might somehow turn into one of the Spanish bros, because he's got a lot of buildings that would be in range of the Archon Chapel if he were to place it then next to the wood.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. The housing spots is definitely questionable with, you know, at this point in the game, when you're this high elo, your placement base building kind of becomes natural, especially on the HRE. You're like, all right, that's where I want my chapel. Make sure I don't build production and houses inside it where my chapel's going to go. But I would expect that chapel to be going right where he's placing those houses.
I think mine work makes a lot of sense because you also get really, really quick upgrades for your archers. You get the movement speed on them as well. And it's really important to have a lot of archers early on against English, so you're able to keep their longbow number really, really low as well. Having low numbers of archers for the English can be quite important. Now we see Prelate actually being pulled here. That hurts the economy from sort of quite a bit, but it means that he is going to be winning this fight and actually be seeing an outpost coming up here as well.
Yeah, I also find burning the dock with English being kind of a trap. You have less units because, like I was talking about earlier, you're spending more resources for less of these units, and then all of a sudden you're only having 3 units torch down a dock. We're already watching 8 spears start to run across the map and can return damage a lot faster.
Exactly. Now we see there's already a lot of men-at-arms on the field right now, right? 6 men-at-arms, and you can really afford that because you're on water. You're getting a lot of food passively through that. And men-at-arms are quite expensive. They cost 40 more food than normal spearmen do. But you're able to facilitate that by, for one, having cheaper fishing ships, so you need less villagers on wood to constantly produce fishing ships. And the fishing ships, in turn, generate a lot of food for you. So men-at-arms, I'm not quite sure if sort of still has enough. And the issue that I see here is that every second that he's out there with this prelate is a second that he's not supervising or inspiring 8 villagers potentially here. And we see that because of that, or potentially because of that, DeMu is about to click up to the next age and sort of isn't even close to.
Oh, and the first spearman does get taken out rather quickly. Good focus fire damage, but this is the main clash and sort of doing a great job pulling those low spears back now, allowing the prelate to try to heal and limiting the losses, but not limiting them enough. And I would be worried if I'm that prelate now, and if he loses that prelate, that can just be a game over.
Yeah, losing the prelate would be a really, really fast way to GG, but Guildhall is being Council Hall is being placed right now. And it's being built by 7 villagers. This one is going to go up quickly.
Able to get a fishing boat out and taken down right there. Men-at-arms kind of splitting focus on this one. Could be an opportunity for sort of spearmen. The prelate's doing as much as he can on this healing, and all of a sudden the men-at-arms number, it's down to 3, and not even a healthy 3.
Yeah, so sort of actually was able to take a good fight there, and now he's pretty much back in the game. Issue is that he's still not up to the next age yet. If he cancels the 2 spearmen in queue, he could be clicking up, and I think he really needs to do that right now. He is going to be very far behind if that council is going to be coming up, because the longbows will absolutely shred the spearmen out on the field.
Not only that, the military ships immediately queued up. Look at the galleon queue. It's already on its way, so yeah, those spearmen, they might be able to bring those torches out to start burning and kill any units coming out of that barracks, but they're going to start taking a lot of AoE damage, and that prelate, it's still trying to be a battle prelate over here.
And there we go. I mean, the prelate, he did his job. Now it looks like he's walking back because the Archon is coming. Oh, the galley! Prelate, no! Oh, prelate! Prelate! Oh, he's microing. He's dancing. Oh. He's dodging. He memorized the attack pattern of the galley in order to dodge every single arrow fire there, and that was really necessary. Oh man, Lombo's coming out now as well. Looks like the wall came out though. Villagers here doing a great job of walling that. Means that that is going to be protected now. And Archon Chapel coming in. It's being built with a lot of villagers here, 9 villagers on that. Another barracks actually coming out.
That's shocking to me.
Is it going to be men-at-arms? I'm not sure.
I mean, it has. I would think it has to be. There's no reason you're dropping another barracks for more spears, knowing that longbows are about to be fielded out. You're about to be making the unit that counters you.
All right, but mass longbows can downright just completely counter out the feudal age men-at-arms, and it's going to be tough. He's definitely going to need the movement speed upgrade from the HRE. Now the longbows are here. Villager out there as well is going to be able to drop an outpost potentially in the stealth forest here. Though fishing ships do act as scouts, so they can actually look inside the stealth forest. Oh, isn't paying attention. Might lose a fishing ship. Fishing ship does go down. Galley is being built right now for sort of. So with that, he's going to be able to protect his fishing a little bit better here. About to pop out, and there we go. Galley is out, and with that, so DeMu is going to have to retreat for now. Actually gets another fishing ship.
Yeah, just a little bit of oversight there from sort of losing a few economic units that he shouldn't have had to. Good job by DeMu dodging on some of those galley shots, and now we're about to just see this kind of water standoff. I think he just realized that Galley's in range of all those fishing boats, so could get a good bit of damage down, force those back. And he did.
Yeah, now he did. He did get another kill there on one of the fishing ships. So that's 4 fishing ships that have gone down here so far. That's a lot of damage that he's been able to do here. And the army count, look at that. 13 longbowmen out right now. And longbows in big numbers, they're able to take down ships.
I mean, it makes sense if you think about a bunch of arrows hitting a wooden ship, you know? Come on now.
Yeah, it's really difficult now. And man, it's tough. And there we go. Now we see archers coming out here from sort of. Definitely needed. You need archers against the longbow ball. Because if you don't respect the longbows, it's going to very, very quickly turn really, really badly for you. He's also getting the +1 armor upgrade now for his units. And that's a big ball of longbows and military coming out from DeMu. And he's starting to push forward now.
And it's actually about to potentially cut off reinforcements, make this very, very difficult for sort of to have his group together, and sort of is actually about to start cutting off the English reinforcements to try to isolate that ball that is headed towards his eco.
But here come the longbows, but this could actually be really, really dangerous for DeMu. The Pierce upgrade is about to come in, and then the army from sort of might collapse onto the military here from DeMu. Villagers have been pulled from the gold, so those villagers are going to be safe. And now DeMu is trying to run back, but there's already the military there. This could be the moment for sort of to collapse on the army here from DeMu.
Yep, men-at-arms headed towards that front line. Spear's not going to do too much, but men-at-arms on the other side closing in on the longbows, and you can't forget how slow those longbows are. So a great fight here, a great opportunity from sort of to clean up this bit of military forward from DeMu.
Amazing fight here by sort of, and you really hate to see it as the English player. Your military, your big ball of military is so important. If you lose it, it's going to be really hard for you to completely remake that. DeMu, though, he's microing back and forth, or rather just back to back, and it's getting a good amount of shots in on these men-at-arms, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be enough behind that. Sort of also broke his own wall and pushed out forward as well. Did sort of already grab the movement speed upgrade on his men-at-arms, I wonder, though?
Not for sure, but even still, they're closing out on the rest of these archers. DeMu, not having the micro to finish this off, has to focus on the fishing boats and his economy of water, and DeMu gets destroyed and sort of having to regroup and fall back as well.
Yeah, look at them. The longbows, they do a good amount of damage here to these ships, so the ship has to fall back, but villagers are close, and villager repair speed on ships is significantly faster than fishing ship repair speed, and with that, the Hulk is going to be able to stay in play here for both of these players.
Yeah, and the thing about having that longbow mass that close to a galley is you really have to be careful, because you can't take that AoE shot. It's not quite a mangonel, but some shots, and if a couple group in together, it can be like it. A demo ship pops out for sort of as well, and now that should force DeMu to fall quite a bit farther back.
Gonna have to fall back, but the longbows are able to take shots on that demo ship as well. There we go, demo ship getting sniped by the longbows. Oh, this is gonna be a really rough fight now. There's a lot of ships out there, but the Hulk from sort of is really low HP, and one of the villagers has already been sniped trying to repair it, so now he has to back off once again. Men-at-arms mass has also been thinned out for both players, though it's really thin right now for DeMu. He only has 2 men-at-arms remaining out on the field. Archer number still looking really good for DeMu, though.
Yeah, one benefit sort of was able to pick up a few more of those fishing boats. Demo's out on either side yet again, and just kind of regroup, battling back on up. Demo is able to get the Springle ship on either side, and another one coming forward.
It's hitting the fishing ships.
Oh no, the fishing boats are all at quarter health. Is it going to be able to go finish this off, or are the longbows going to be able to step up and push the military ships from sort of back?
It looks like the longbows are there in time in order to push all of this military back. Now, snipes another villager there on the side as well. More galleys, though, being pumped out right now by sort of. This is really, really dangerous because there's a lot of longbows coming out right now, and these longbows, they do a lot of damage to the galleys as well.
Look at them. They're just, it's starting to get that longbow number that's impossible to deal with. Starting to just take out those ships too fast to, like, even react to two-shotting the galleys.
Okay, the longbows, though, they have to fall back because of the men-at-arms here. Now the galley's getting some good shots in on the eco as well. Now shooting onto the longbowman. There's not a lot of military left here. I feel like sort of he has to fall back and regroup because he's losing a lot of units there. DeMu microing his longbows. Do not overkill on a single archer. Gets a lot of picks there.
Yeah, he's still up above 20 longbows and just utilizing that range so effectively, just not allowing any of those longbows to really get touched by too much damage.
Here we go. The galley's pushing forward once again, trying to get some shots potentially on the longbows. There we go. Shots trying to be
couple good shots.
But DeMu, he's kiting. He's dodging a lot of these shots that are coming out there. And yeah, with the kiting, he's absolutely destroying the men-at-arms coming out.
Fishing boats having to fall back a little bit from DeMu, but longbows just perfectly on that edge, not able to get attacked, but now he steps forward into galley fire, takes a little bit of extra damage, but still just not nearly enough damage now. And sort of, he pulled fishing boats to come heal these galleys. It felt like a big commitment there, and galleys just going down faster than they could be healed.
Although this trade-off wasn't necessarily too bad. A galley is only worth as much as like 3 longbows, so I feel like they got their value out there. Yeah, this is not looking too bad right now for sort of overall. He still is pressuring quite a bit. Now, there's not too much fish left here overall, so this kind of falls flat at some point in the future. But we're getting to the point where these players will have to move out onto the map for their economy.
I always love this point too, because you can already see both of these players have the same amount of gold starting to like just bank up, and it's because they've gotten their upgrades that they've needed for the most part, and they don't really have a lot of other things they're spending gold on other than a few of these military ships occasionally. And so soon enough they're just going to try to hit castle, but cannot go there at any point soon.
There we go. I mean, the galleys right now, they're taking fights against a small group of longbows, so they're getting some good trades in here. Taking a good fight there, but the main army right now from Sort of, the main land army is very, very low, and Sort of, does he even have enough wood in order to place a lumber camp? His wood line has run completely out!
I mean, that means no military ships, that means no archers. He is going to be struggling now, and he runs out of the berries next to the chapel too. This is the devastating timing for him.
The entire economy has... He doesn't have wood for a lumber camp. He doesn't have wood for a lumber camp, and it's GG, just like that. Missing out on 50 wood costs him the game.
Oh my gosh, what a wild game to that type of ending, though.
Wow. Just wow.